Masibukane ngokuphela indawo on behalf of the party, allow us to respect the leadership of the party in the province, led by Comrade Phel, in the Congress by the first Deputy Provincial Secretary. Let me respect the chairperson of COSAT in the Free State. Let me respect the ANC representative, Comrade Malay. Let me respect the YCN Provincial Secretary and the entire collective leadership of YCN. Let me respect the party district collective under the leadership of the district secretary of the party. Comrades, I have 4 items that I want to talk about to you. I'm not going to read this speech. I'm going to talk on the issues that I noted as my notes to be part of the political input to this Congress. It's an opportunity, comrades, and an honor to me on behalf of the party leadership, be part of your district Congress. This district Congress was affected, like the chairperson said, by COVID-19. And we are convening the party district Congress in the midst of many developments in our country, many developments in the world. No, but today is Sunday, Muslim. I never relish to talk to people. When you come to party, you must have a pen and a ball pen. A pen and a paper. Comrades, we want to dedicate this input to the International Women's Day, which has been celebrated and observed by many in the country. This district Congress of the party should be part of that celebration, recognition of the role of women that they've played in the world. Because every working woman is first and foremost a member of the working class. I want to quote on this, one of the great leaders, the initiators of the women's platform in this world. I quote, "The incorporation of the great masses of the proletarian women in the liberation struggle of the proletariat is one of the prerequisites for the victory of the socialist idea and for the construction of a socialist society." I'm quoting here Comrade Clark in 1896. And comrades, I want to raise this particular issue again. In 2010, when I was still the provincial state, we launched in the Free State SACP Red Women's Brigade. 2010, we launched Women's Brigade in this district of the party. The SACP Women's Brigade is not another women's league of the party, like in the ANC. It's not a women's desk of the party. And that we said, comrades, the purpose of this women's brigade, that I quote, when representing in the plenary session of the party provincial council. It is pivotal to understand and internalize the political vision and the objective of the brigade. It's not another women's league. And then he said, the success of the long-term party view resides in the realization of the strategic objective of the national democratic revolution, with the emergence of the most reliable core of consistent cadres, with their political, ideological commitment and appreciation of individual role within the collective intelligence and wisdom laced with theoretical depth. Close quote. We further said, comrades, the condition for any political argument and mastery grasp of political content of the pillars of the party politics within the intellectual curiosity. The SACP Women's Brigade represent the milestone, the shock absorbers of the organization against any grisly scheme against the organization from all shades. The most brilliant asset, a smooth bullets with steel efficiency, women of substance who understand class tactics, application of the strategy, maintain principle, whose immaculate discipline cannot be questionable, who cannot be corruptible, whose loyalty to the party cannot be bought by whatever means whatsoever. That's what constitutes the features of the SACP member. This responds to your question. Comrades, this women's brigade was constituted by 35 members of the party activists across the province. But I will be claiming, in the context of the International Women's Day, that we honor and in appreciation and recognition of the women that have played their role in the life of the party. About Mumisa Kondro, about Dorota Man, about Winnie Mandela. So we want to say, comrades, to this Congress, the revival and resuscitating the Women's Brigade must be part of the SACP District Congress resolution. This party Women's Brigade, as part of building an impenetrable core of leadership in the party and be the linchpin of growing the structures of our glorious party, its ideological quality and its development towards numerical strength in the country. This means the party needs women of serious mind in action and be serving as catalysts in serving the aspirations and the needs of our people. Let's talk about governance, comrades. SACP is a front rank of the revolution. We are the disseminators of Marxism and Leninism. The SACP is a party of influence and a party of power. The SACP has played a critical role, comrades, for us to achieve the liberation, the freedom, and democracy. And we have a duty as the SACP members to make sure that this democracy is not abused, to make sure that this democracy is not serving the bloated, engorged political elite, but democracy must serve the aspirations and needs of our people. It must serve those who are still in the fringes of our economy. Kosatu speaks about water. It will be so deplorable for the party to keep quiet when our people are without water and electricity. And comrades, the SACP must make sure that wherever is possible, we help our people to achieve platforms that will be able to create jobs. The economy that we have is an economy that fails to create jobs for our people. For instance, one of the leaders, the CEO of Sibanye Stillwater says, our people are without jobs, our people are angry, our people are poor because of socialism and the concepts of communism, and which is just a hypocrisy, just a fantastic hypocrisy. New liberals, they fail to acknowledge the social failure of capitalism. Capitalism deepens poverty, tormenting poverty, deepens inequality. It cannot be socialism and communism that makes our people not to have jobs. It's a capitalist system and a new liberal agenda and its framework that we are still operating within. And we need to educate our members, general membership of the party, about this. Comrades, if we are to save our government and governance, for instance, governance has collapsed in Free State. And we must say it. And please, you can quote me. Governance has failed in the Free State. And the SACP, if we are to save government and governance, we need to be very firm and be incisive in terms of responding to issues that affect our people. Without any failure, any fear, any favor. We must unflinchingly so challenge everything that affects our people in the Free State and countrywide. Part of that is corruption. I can tell you, comrades, masters of grand larceny are still continuing looting resources in the state. Yes, they are still looting. But we need again, comrades, to make sure that we encourage members of the party to go to school. Yes. Go to school and be graduates in all critical fields. YCL must take that as a serious responsibility. Members of the party must be engineers, must be doctors, must be civil engineers, structural engineers, medical engineers. Why the white community in this country is still closing that opportunity of black people coming in medical engineering. We have only one company here in the Free State that is dealing with equipments, medical equipments, if they need repairs. Comrades, we want educated young people to take over in government. But when you take over, you must not be faithful minions of the masters of grand larceny. Be independent individuals who take their political and ideological guidance to the South African Communist Party or from the South African Communist Party, not from individuals. That's the kind of caliber of cadres and activists that we need as the party. Don't worship individuals in an organization. Be independent members of the organization who can stand boldly and confidently to make a point that begins to take the life of the organization and the class we represent forward. Comrades, the party position and response to the budget was very clear. We reject any new liberal framework. We demand as the party a progressive tax system. And the SACP rejects, comrade, the loan. We can't be indebted to IMF and World Bank. We are so indebted, and I want to challenge and give you a task as members of the party. Go and do research about the role of IMF and World Bank after many third world countries took over and established their independence. IMF and World Bank imposed structural adjustment programs. When structural adjustment programs are being imposed, they come with conditionalities. The first condition will be you privatize water and electricity. You privatize state assets. You privatize health care. You freeze the wages of workers. When workers demand a living wage, you refuse. How can you privatize electricity companies? Let's just talk about that. And what will happen if the electricity belongs to the private hands? Because the purpose of any business is to make profit. Indeed, yes. How many, I want anybody, if you are sure, how many countries that IMF and World Bank imposed structural adjustment program, and you say and you tell me that those countries in terms of the economy and the level of tormenting poverty has been reduced? And I will say none. None. Comrades, the party must be serious about political oversight on government and governance. You see, I agree with the representative of the ANC. We must have a keen interest as the party on governance issues. We must play that political role, oversight. The party, Nobala, needs research. We can't be like ANC that will only, look, ANC only takes research serious when you go for elections. Yeah, I want anybody who can refuse that. National leaders, I can tell them. ANC at regional level needs research. ANC in parliament needs a serious research. ANC in the headquarters, Mutuli House, need a research unit that will be full-time doing research. And we can't only depend on national. We need our own small units in the districts, in the province, that will focus on policy and research. Comrades, look, we need to encourage members of the party to be part of organs of people's power. Be part of the SGB. Be part of the clinic committees. In that process, you are able to monitor the availability of the stockpiles on medication to our people. You are able to monitor the cleanness in our clinics. One of the resolutions that I want to conclude, the SACP must fashion the establishment of street committees. Street committees. Members of the party must be part of the ward committees. Go and establish block committees. And let me encourage comrades and congratulate all those councillors who happen to be councillors, who belongs to the SACP, who are members of the SACP. Yeah, whatever number. My speech says SACP is a party of power and influence and governance. If you are a member of the party, we demand absolute loyalty and allegiance to the Communist Party. There's no doubt about that. If you are a councillor of the party, you take your political and ideological guidance from the South African Communist Party. You take advices from the party. Unless you are just playing games. You don't know what you want. Now, we congratulate you, comrades. Go and do your work. Be honest. Let's talk about, comrades, the skill. The SACP support the infrastructure budget and the rolling out of infrastructure in the country. But I want to raise this point. When we build our roads, our bridges, our TVET colleges, our schools, our clinics, how many and what is the quality of skill that we live in our community? How many people in that community will be able to say, we have a young graduate who is a civil engineer, who is a structural engineer? Because, for instance, how long shall our infrastructure be built by white companies? Your Roberts, your Murray and Roberts, and others. We need, as the state or as the governing party in government, put conditionalities. If we give a particular tender to a company, we say, comrades, we give you this tender. We want you to take in that project 10 young graduates on civil engineer and structural engineer. You partner in a form of consortium with black company. You go to another project. You give that project to the same company in a form of consortium. After the complete project, they complete the project, you say you have, comrades, disseminated necessary skill, knowledge, and experience to young graduates on civil engineer and structural engineer. Start. Because, comrades, it's an embarrassment to have a state or government that exists without adequate engineers. We can't continue like this. No, we can't. Look, sithatha your job creation and black economic empowerment. So this was in this example. Your plumbers, your electrical engineers who are working for the municipalities, Veronique, they left the government level sphere. They opened their own companies. Now we are in power. We give those white companies the very same job that we could be giving to our black brothers, because it's the same companies of white people. They repair their cars, they service their cars. Yeah. Now, if black economic empowerment is an impractical dream, it will never happen. It needs leadership with intensity. It needs a serious political will of leadership. Another classical example, Congress, of simple things that we can't do. You go to Richards Bay, there's a huge mountain of wood chips. Nazazi wood chips. Yeah, wood chips. Out at the land. Like trees, you cut them into chips. Chips as in the furniture. Yeah. When you go there, they will tell you, no, this mountain of wood chips, they are waiting to be shipped to China. Yeah, to China. When they come back from China, it's a finished product with a price tag like this furniture. And then city, we are serious about black economic empowerment. Why can't we say, you women, we give you a piece of land, we give you equipment, we give you material to build the factory. You process them, you cut them, you harvest. Yeah, harvest. You process them, you package them, you transport them. How many jobs you gonna create? We have not transformed, comrades, the fishing industry in South Africa. Fish industry. You have a monopoly of small, if not one or two companies. They capture the fish, they process the fish, they package the fish, they transport the fish. And then you talk about black economic empowerment. It's a pipe dream. In Kwakwa, factories have been closed down. In Butabelo, factories have been closed down. Yet we say we have power. Power is not for decorations on the foreheads and the shoulders of leaders. Power, comrades, must be deployed to serve the aspirations and needs of our people. So it's in the power. Yeah. Comrades, let's talk about the unit of the ANC. Since the local government elections, comrades are still fighting. Comrades are still fighting, comrades are still devouring each other, as if there's no colossal damage that has been done in South Africa. Comrades are still fighting each other, comrades, precisely because by being in a position in the ANC brings you closer to a position of responsibility in government, closer to resources, so that you could mobilize resources, steal resources, loot resources, even to destroy the very same ANC. Yeah? They are still fighting even today. Yes. The SACP must focus and deploy its meager resources and the whole of our impetus to build the structures of the party. Comrades, if I say ANC will never unite as long as it's still in power, I want comrades of the party and the national leadership to tell me that that's a reactionary position. This is not a party position, it's my personal view. We are in a party congress, I did. ANC, comrades, will never unite as long as we still have political power. A representative of the ANC just said it here, that we have four groups, according to their own selfish, narrow reasons. The party must mobilize itself, the party must engage with our people, the party must prepare itself for the current and the future. This is a party that has celebrated its 100 years last year. When the party celebrates this next 100 years, some of us will be dead. It cannot be correct that this glorious party of the working class, it is still the vanguard, Nopal. Yes, we are still a vanguard. It can't celebrate its next 100 years without the party contesting elections independently. Yes. Towards the 15th Congress of the party, we must debate this. I'm making this as an input that it must be debated. Sentimental attachment to ANC will never help the party. Historical attachment to the ANC will never help the party. Let me tell you why I'm saying this. The SACP here in the Free State engaged the leadership of the ANC, gave them a discussion document. They never responded to that. They never came back. Yes. They never responded. The Party National gave a discussion document that critiques the economy and the political environment and highlighting the challenges that are confronting the revolution. The highest leaders of the ANC were present in that meeting. I'm talking about the officials. ANC never came back. ANC never came back. Then how do we engage ideologically, politically with our alliance partner? Because in order for the damage in government to be corrected, there must be a political will to those who control power. But if ANC leaders, comrades, are not prepared to protect, defend the gains of the revolution, we are bluffing ourselves. Go and quote me, you can quote me. There must be an iron political will to say, comrades, we are losing the country, we are losing power, we are destroying the ANC. Look, in Bloemfontein, Mangaung, our own adults, parents, they fall under the category of indigent. Mangaung is closing water for those people. Mangaung leaves the big business and foreign national companies and their businesses who are not paying tax in South Africa. They left untouched. They are left untouched. It shows, comrades, the level of paralysis, because a divided organization will never strategically intervene, imperiously intervene to bring difference between life and death, because you are paralyzed. You are paralyzed. It is the ANC that's supposed to say, comrades, you in government, you can't close water for our people, for our indigents. You must go to big business and foreign nationals who are operating in Mangaung. Please pay water. Please pay your services. But it's not only the responsibility of the ANC, including the party. The party must do that. Because we are a vanguard party that must defend the aspirations of our people. Let me quote this. I want all of you to listen to this. This is a quote, not bad, from a serious document, the reminiscence of Cuban Revolutionary War. A very thin chapter in that document says, the title of the chapter is a scene of the revolution. I quote, the patience was tested, serious differences arose, a revolutionary good sense prevailed. We gave way for the sake of unity. We maintained principles. We did not permit theft. And we did not give away the positions to those we knew to be potential traitors. But neither did we eliminate them. We made allowances, always on behalf of some vague and poorly understood idea of unity. That was a sin of the revolution. ANC leadership can sit down and say, comrades, what is the state of the organization? Let's leave our political, because these differences are not even ideological. They are not ideological. They are informed by selfish, narrow personal reasons, by the masters of grand lesson. When you lose power, remember